all these rejections from the middle Bollinger Band.
Resistance we're going to need.
If you actually see here, we get a
And we'll look for a healthy higher
I
low.
would not
don't have
be
the
convinced
pullback
to
to
enter
cross
long trade.
Hey everyone, hope you're doing well today. It's Friday. We have things tightening up in a clear inside bar pattern on Bitcoin on the daily time frame. And we're seeing this distinction now between some of the smaller altcoins that have pulled back more significantly and some of the names like Bitcoin and Ethereum that are holding on a little bit better and have not pulled back to that degree at this point. Obviously, because these individual names have pulled back to that degree, that increases the odds that further consolidation is coming in these names, but it's not there just yet, and that's not set in stone. So the bulls could easily break bullish or bearish from these inside bars. We still have a bunch of hours left in the trading day, 6-7 hours. So this candlestick likely to form an inside bar, but not a sure thing yet. If it is an inside bar, tomorrow a break of 6,452 is bearish, and 6,639 is bullish. So a very clear tightening range. We have our very clear resistance still there at this point. We did see a little spike today on, well, it wasn't at the normal time. So every other day we've seen 9 a.m. Eastern bull spike, then nothing. Then 9 a.m. Eastern bull spike, then nothing. And then today was the day to be watching for the 9 a.m. It's actually 9:15 a.m. Eastern bull spike. And we didn't get it. Instead, we got it at 8 a.m. But again, it's the same thing where we just see a 5-minute candlestick with a big bull spike and then just constant slow fading throughout the rest of the day. So what these moves do is they essentially just buy the bulls more time. So they're not really changing any significant trends or any kind of momentum, but they're keeping the bulls afloat and preventing from significant consolidation. And bulls will certainly take this kind of action rather than, the big dump down to the downside. But it's just not a lot of proof because there's no follow through behind it. And there's no real rhyme or reason in terms of what exactly is going on in this scenario. And, who's making these market orders that only last a couple minutes and then completely disappear from any buying pressure. There is a pattern on the 4-hour time frame that the bulls and bears are both keeping an eye on. It's a potential bearish reversal head and shoulders pattern. So it would be the left shoulder here, then the head, and then this would be the right shoulder with a clear higher low pattern. And again, the psychology of what is going on in this pattern that makes it a reversal pattern is we have a shift from higher lows and higher highs, which is what the left shoulder and the head shows us, higher low, higher high, and then we shift to a lower high on the right shoulder and a lower low, breaking the neckline of support. So if we see a break of 6,450, that is a clear bear break, losing the 4-hour higher low pattern, and that will shift the momentum back towards the bears. And that will have us looking for the further daily consolidation that some of these other names like Litecoin and EOS, which we will look at in just a moment, they're already seeing that pullback. So Bitcoin on the hourly time frame, we can see we had a double bottom this morning. That was down at 64.50, so that adds to how clear support that is. We changed the hourly trend by breaking the lower high with the double bottom. That's what the daily chart is in the middle of. And actually, it's a fairly similar looking hourly chart to what we have on the daily. We have the double bottom, the break of the lower highs, and now consolidation going on. But really, I just like the 4-hour time frame for clarity. We do not have a bear cross of these exponential moving averages yet. The bulls are still holding on. And if we can hold 64.50 all through the weekend, that's a very good sign for the bulls. And that will show that we're going to get an inside bar bull break. So as far as it stands, if you want to just simplify it, inside bars, watch that for a signal today or into tomorrow. Checking in on Ethereum. Ethereum is more in line with Bitcoin in terms of it's still holding up pretty well on this daily consolidation. So we pulled back and we have another little double bottom here, 451.35, 451.68. So still very healthy daily consolidation. Lower highs the last 4 days in a row. The bulls are going to try and break that pattern and make their way back up to the recent high. Obviously, we're going to need some Bitcoin help along with it to get that follow through. And this is more of a descending triangle pattern on the 4-hour time frame. So a descending triangle is when you have lower highs consistently, but a baseline of support with a horizontal line. So there's our baseline of support. Anything under 482 will be a lower high remaining in this descending triangle pattern. And we'll look for a break of that pattern, likely when we see Bitcoin break its inside bar, whatever direction that is. Inside bar bear break for Bitcoin. We likely see Ethereum break this double bottom at 451 and an inside bar bull break. And we're going to be looking for Ethereum to head back to the upper 470s and 480s resistance zones. So another nice clear 4-hour pattern to be watching. Double bottom base of support, healthy daily consolidation, And this weekend, we're going to get a lot more information in terms of short-term action as to whether or not the bulls can see continuation or not. So here's what I'm talking about with Litecoin on the daily time frame, just comparing the consolidation to this point, very clearly pulling back to establish an attempted higher low. So again, just comparing to Bitcoin, has not had that clear pullback yet. If we were, we'd be down in the 6,200s. So we don't have that kind of consolidation just yet. The bulls can easily form a higher low and then see continuation. It's just a question of whether Bitcoin follows this pattern or whether the Bitcoin bulls can hold their support levels and break resistance for continuation. So at this point, support is 80.76 and a support level down there at 77.72. And we look at the 4-hour time frame. Clear resistance level did just get a little bit of a break, not significant. 89, make that 83.91 and 84.01. So an upper wick rejecting from that resistance level. Bulls trying to shift momentum. They're still clearly the weakest name. And they've been the weakest name, again, since yesterday morning. It was clear that Litecoin was losing momentum as it was the first to break its support level on the 4-hour time frame. And we are now seeing that continued weakness from here. So I've lost interest with Litecoin. I liked it and I played it on the original bounce when the LTC BTC chart was extremely oversold. Speaking of which, let's check in on a couple other things. We'll look at EOS here real quick, and then we will check out the shorts charts and the comparison charts. So Litecoin 4-hour time frame favoring the bears much more than Bitcoin and Ethereum. EOS on the daily also has more significant follow through on the consolidation. Inside bar bear break already occurred on the daily. The 4-hour time frame, lower highs and lower lows are very clear. We have a new resistance level at 877 and our support is 831, and then 8 psychological as there's a lack of price history in terms of support levels before 8 psychological. So another one that is in line with Litecoin with its clear lower highs and lower lows, a nice double top for bears to make their entry on, and now it followed through. Weak bounce attempt, bears still in control of the 4-hour time frame, still consolidating on the daily, and it's up to the bulls to form a daily higher low and then see a bull break of the resistance in the 943s to try and get that continuation. So let's now look at these comparison charts. So ETH, BTC. And I'm just looking for clues. Who's strong, who's weak? I'm seeing ETH is a bit choppy, clear lower highs. I'm looking at the daily time frame, very choppy. So there's no clarity in terms of who's in more control, Bitcoin or Ethereum. It's varying from day to day. So we'll have to watch for any changes in that, but that's not any information that I would use to trade off of at this point. And checking in on Litecoin, clearly the Bitcoin bulls are favored over the Litecoin bulls. We're much weaker here. It's not as choppy. We're heading back down towards our recent low and back down towards oversold conditions. So 1238 was our recent low, and here we are hitting 1251. And all we did was cool off resistance, or I should say cool off extreme oversold RSI levels. The daily RSI was down in the low teens, and it cooled off back to above 30, and now the bears are taking back over again. So again, another instance where I'm not interested in Litecoin because it is so much weaker than the other names. I'm only going to be playing Bitcoin or Ethereum if I do choose to play bullish on this break. And a clear play for whether a bull or a bear on Bitcoin would be enter bearish on a daily inside bar bear break and enter bullish on a bull break. And for Ethereum, the clear play is on the 4-hour time frame, break the lower highs for the bulls or break the clear double bottom of support for the bears. So the setups are there on those time frames. And at this point, short-term trading is still favored because we do not have clarity for swing trades at this point, and we're looking for that clarity for daily continuation to higher highs. And we also have a standpoint where you can always set your stop loss to allow yourself to potentially make a trade into a swing. So there are often times where I'll enter a trade, and I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to swing trade this position when I enter, but the trade develops in a certain way where I then decide to swing it, and this is currently happening with a gold position that I have actually. But it's a scenario where maybe you take half of your profit for the determined short-term trade that you were looking for, and then maybe you would set a stop loss and let your other half try and ride in case we do get a bull break or continuation. Same thing if you're a bear. You know, if you're looking for a bear break of this double bottom, clearly on the 4-hour time frame for both Bitcoin or Ethereum, if these little double bottoms on these two break, it's going to be a clear bear signal, and the bears will get some nice short-term profit. So that's where we stand on the cryptocurrency names. We're going to do a vote with members soon to be looking for some potential new tickers to cover in the everyday videos. I've been switching around between Litecoin, BCH, EOS, and BNB. And in fact, let's get to BNB, check in there. We had a clear bear break. So we had the double top and the double bottom that we were watching on Binance. And let's actually go to BNB USDT. little bit more clear. So here's our double top of resistance. And then we had a base of support down here, and that has broken. Not a very clear break, not a high volume bear break, but it's very clear that the daily momentum is favoring the bears. We had a double top, 15.15 and 15.15 to the penny as resistance, and now we have broken support. So the bears are in control short term. The 4-hour RSI is oversold. You can see every bounce is rejecting from 4-hour exponential resistance, and we're looking at the weekly time frame starting to lose momentum. Look at this 12-period exponential on the weekly. We have held this level since March. So this will be the first time in 4 months that we lose this level if this weekly candlestick closes here or lower, although keeping in mind that anything above 1161 is a higher low, keeping the bulls in control of the longer-term weekly chart. So yes, we are getting some bearish signals on the 4-hour and the daily, but the weekly trend is not in jeopardy unless we lose 1161, and it is declining bear volume here, so another reason that it's not a huge red flag. So if this 4-hour RSI continues to get extended and this daily RSI continues to head down towards the low 30s, we can be looking for a potential entry using this 1161 support. We'll check in the next couple of days and see if we are heading to this level in oversold conditions, which would set up what we call a bottom fishing play, using a support level, ideally when in oversold conditions, to try and get that bounce to stay in that uptrend. So that wraps up. Keep an eye on the 4-hour time frame. Bitcoin and Ethereum continue to do good things out there. Let's check off now where we're headed in Adventure Time. Let's see, ended after Costa Rica and Pavones. So I did the road trip. I went to Costa Rica, then came back for a couple months, then went out to Lake Tahoe to live for the summer. Followed a woman out there, and I had no idea what I was in for. It was just like, hey, I'm going to be living around Lake Tahoe, and I want to go live where you are, and let's see what it's like. And I knew it was, a nice nature area, but I got there, and it just blew my mind, this lake, and just how beautiful it is. And there's trails everywhere in nature. So another great spot to go if you're near Lake Tahoe. I actually lived in Kings Beach, but it's a very big lake, and it's great to swim in, and great hikes all around it. Nice little snowman on one of the hikes. And just, again, lakes and mountains everywhere. Rocks to climb, bunch of chipmunks hanging out in the rocks. More hot springs. So this was a hot spring, again, just right off the side of the road. BLM land, anybody can go there. And sweet view, and it actually had a little waterfall of hot water falling down. So that was another cool little spot to stop off into. We had some mountains and lakes. And again, just very beautiful scenery. Great place to live. And more camping that I did. Ended up going away on my own by myself. Actually, after a week after I got there to move in together, she told me she didn't want to be together, which is fine. We're still friends. All made sense back then. But I then went off on my own again camping, so I wasn't going to stay out there in Tahoe where I didn't know anybody. So I stayed there for a few months, and I was trading on my own during the day and then adventuring. And from there, I went back to Yosemite and did some more traveling around again by myself. So here's an example where I had my friend's jacket. So I was traveling everywhere by myself, and I would put the jacket in different positions and then tag my friend in the pictures as if we were hanging out. That was fun. Getting artsy with my pictures. It's like I'm holding the camera, but it's like it's a pot, and the pot's like the flowers, and the flowers are real, but it's a shadow. So that's me being artsy. And I like the dichotomy of this picture where you have life and death stemming from the same tree. So let's see, where else am I going in Adventureland from here? Did do a northeast trip. We'll cover that northeast trip afterwards. White Mountains in New Hampshire. Went back and visited the farm that I was working on in Maine, and I grew up in Massachusetts, so hung out with some friends there. So I have some cool pictures from the fall. If you haven't been to the northeast in the fall, it's just incredible. Show you some of those pictures, and then we'll take it from there. Hope you have a good weekend. We'll see you tomorrow.